on his stool, almost took Justin out in the second round. It looked like he had really tried to finish Justin, and then Justin started landing bombs in the third round. Ilia had slowed down quite a bit. Justin had him down with his two hands and just smashed a knee into his rib cage. You could see him go like that, and that was the end of the round. The end of the fourth round, Ilia quit on his stool. Both of his eyes were swollen shut. His nose was up. He'd taken so many punches to the face. That was the greatest fight of all time.
Joe Rogan has now shared his thoughts on Ilia Topuria's recovery following the brutal defeat he suffered against Justin Gaethje at the UFC White House card. Given Rogan's long history around the sport and his experience analyzing countless fighters and careers, his comments have naturally drawn significant attention throughout the MMA community. When Rogan speaks about situations like this, fans and fighters tend to pay close attention because he has often discussed the physical and mental challenges that come with competing at the highest level. In Topuria's case, the conversation is no longer centered solely on the result of the fight, but on the recovery process and what comes next for one of the sport's biggest stars. As the MMA world continues to assess the aftermath of that grueling contest, Rogan's perspective adds another layer to an already fascinating discussion about resilience, recovery, and how elite fighters respond after facing the toughest moments of their careers.
1 minute between the rounds. If Ilia had to come out with that 1 minute where they were looking at him and he said he couldn't see, Justin might have stopped him right then. Ilia had a full minute to completely recover that he should have gotten. Inexperienced doctor.
They overruled doctor who may not have been as experienced in this.
Mark said it was an inexperienced doctor. You gotta let them fight.
Gotta let them fight.
If they want to fight, you gotta let them.
According to many figures within the MMA community, Ilia Topuria's path back to competition could be much longer than fans originally anticipated. And that is a major reason why this story continues to dominate discussions throughout the sport. The attention isn't centered solely on the fact that Topuria lost. Rather, it stems from the condition he was reportedly left in after the fight. In the days following the event, photos, injury reports, and widespread discussion painted the picture of a fighter who endured a tremendous amount of punishment during one of the most demanding battles of his career. As more details emerged, the focus quickly shifted from the outcome itself to the potential long-term effects of the damage he sustained. For many fans, the biggest concern is no longer who he fights next. It's how long his recovery will take and what condition he will be in when he eventually returns to competition. That uncertainty is what has kept the MMA world so invested in the story. The questions now revolve around recovery, rehabilitation, and whether Topuria can come back at the same elite level that made him one of the sport's most talked-about stars before stepping into the cage that night.
He might never be the same fighter. He's undefeated. He got beaten badly. He pushed Justin Gaethje. He let his emotions get in the way a little bit. However, when you lose a fight like that, you know, you've been beaten. Like Prince Nazim Hamed. I mean, he was destroying everyone and he lost one fight. And he was never the same again, right?
Yeah.
Now you know you can be beaten. There's that doubt in there. Who knows? Maybe he comes back and he's a better version of himself. Yeah. But we don't know until that happens.
I think Ilia's going to come back better than ever. He's young still. He was going through some personal stuff. I think he's going to come back. I mean, Justin fucking humbled him for sure.
Yeah. I also think, though, like, he's human now, so anyone who fights him now, they're like they know that's in him, that they know it's a possibility. And a big thing, even with you and like Ilia and these guys, before the losses, they were almost scared in there. Like there's this weird aura, like this scary aura, like he's gonna everyone up. Now that it got exposed a little bit, I think he's not gonna come back as just dominating.
While fans initially spent weeks analyzing the result of the fight itself, the discussion has gradually moved toward a far more important issue: the extent of the damage Topuria sustained and what it could mean for his future. That is where Joe Rogan's comments have added another dimension to the conversation. Over the years, Rogan has frequently spoken about the harsh realities of recovery in combat sports, emphasizing that some of the toughest challenges fighters face occur long after the final bell has sounded. According to Rogan's long-standing perspective, fans often focus on wins, losses, and highlight moments while overlooking the difficult recovery process that follows major fights. The physical healing, rehabilitation, and mental adjustments required after a grueling battle can sometimes be just as demanding as the contest itself. In Topuria's case, that viewpoint has become especially relevant. The focus is no longer solely on what happened inside the cage against Justin Gaethje, but on the unseen work that lies ahead and how successfully he can navigate one of the most challenging periods of his career.
Factor in the fight is that you have been in wars. You've been in a bunch of wars.
Yeah.
And Ilia really had only had some rough moments against Jai Herbert. Yusuf Zalal gave him some problems, but it was nothing serious. The wars that you've been in, these just down and dirty brawls that you've been in, you're comfortable with the back and forth. You're comfortable with enduring. You know that you're not going to break. If your body holds up, you're going to keep fighting and you can endure. I don't think he'd ever experienced that before.
Because the reality of combat sports can be incredibly unforgiving. Losing a fight is one challenge, but dealing with the physical consequences that follow can be an entirely different battle. When injuries are serious enough to require surgery, lengthy rehabilitation, and extended time away from training, the focus naturally shifts beyond the result itself. That is exactly why so many people are closely following Topuria's situation. The concern is no longer limited to what happened on fight night. It is about what happens in the months that follow. History has repeatedly shown that fighters respond to setbacks in very different ways. Some return from devastating defeats stronger, wiser, and more complete than before. Others struggle to regain the same momentum they once had. That uncertainty is what makes recovery periods so significant in combat sports. The uncomfortable truth is that not all damage heals in the same way. Physical injuries may recover on one timeline, while confidence, timing, and overall performance can follow a very different path. Every fighter's journey back is unique, which is why there is so much interest in how Topuria navigates this stage of his career. For now, the biggest question isn't simply when he returns. It's what version of Ilia Topuria fans will see when he finally steps back into the cage. Will this setback become the catalyst for growth and evolution, or will it leave lasting effects that shape the remainder of his career? Those are the questions that have the MMA world watching so closely.
On the broadcast, Ilia fainting when they were leaving or not?
Yeah, he was resting on his brother's arms on the way out, nearly collapsing into him quite badly. Dude, he's got a broken orbital, broken cheekbone.
Is that confirmed? I think that he's gonna.
Do you think Patty's gonna beat Justin Gage?
Easy.
Wow, really easy?
Yeah, easy.
Really easy?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a crazy thing to say. But greatest night in the history of MMA by far.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's ever going to top this until something does.
I don't think anything's ever going to top this, man. This was...
And when we think about Ilia Topuria, who was ubiquitously regarded with Islam Makhachev as 1 or 1A in terms of the pound-for-pound kings, going to be fascinating to watch this mixed martial arts athlete rebuild, because that was a destructive loss for him and his legacy.
Yeah, and who knows what kind of damage he took, because we could be looking at broken orbital bones.
Orbital looks, the way he swole up.
Yeah.
I'm no doctor. Right. I know we like to play doctor at times. We sometimes be saying diagnosis, but his eye, the way it was so black and blue and closed.
Ilia loses to Justin. What did you think of the fight?
When I saw that, I couldn't believe, to be honest. And I was happy.
So what did you think about how it actually played out?
He felt so confident that I'm going there and knock him out. He didn't even use his jab. He was just wanting to throw the right hand and knock him out right away. But Justin, he's a dog, and he has a good chin. Justin did a good job.
It seemed like the doctor was calling it off, but then they let it go. What did you think of that?
They should stop him on the third round because his eye was closed and he couldn't see. He wanted to fight, but his brother said, no, that's enough.
Do you feel like he quit?
I mean, of course he did.
Cuts eventually heal. Swelling fades with time. Even broken bones can recover through proper treatment and rehabilitation. But the one thing nobody can truly measure until a fighter returns to competition is whether everything else comes back the same way. Questions about confidence, timing, reflexes, and the instinctive willingness to engage under pressure can only be answered once a fighter steps back into the cage. Those are the qualities that often separate a full recovery from simply being medically cleared to compete. That is why a particularly brutal defeat creates so much speculation. Whenever a fighter endures a physically demanding battle and suffers significant damage, the conversation naturally extends beyond the injuries themselves. Fans and analysts begin wondering whether the fighter will return with the same sharpness, the same aggression, and the same ability to perform at an elite level. In Topuria's case, those questions are becoming increasingly common. Nobody is doubting his talent or forgetting everything he accomplished before this setback. Instead, people are waiting to see how he responds to one of the toughest challenges of his career. Until he makes that walk back to the Octagon, there will always be uncertainty. And that uncertainty is what makes his comeback such a compelling story. The next chapter will not be defined by what happened during the fight with Justin Gaethje, but by how Topuria responds to the adversity that followed, and whether he can return looking every bit as dangerous as he did before.
Happened to him. Walking forward with their hands down on the opening bell, you're gonna get walloped.
People saying that he reminds us of you and all that stuff.
No way, does he? He has the same tattoos, he says the same stuff. Right in front of you some shit!
Right in front of you! Do something about it!
He does the same fucking movements.
Have they understood it?
He was gonna scream on the thing. I wish him well. He's alright, I like him. Maybe.
Justin Gaethje. Well in, lad. Undisputed champion, you deserve it after your career. But now I want that rematch. I am going to finish BSD and I want that rematch with Justin Gaethje for the undisputed title. I told you, didn't I? It was fate. Justin Gaethje, man, that's off to you. You deserve it for the fucking heavy career you've had. You absolutely deserve it, lad. Everyone gave me shit for getting beat by him. What now? What now, lad? Thought he was finished. Thought he was 38. Thought he was over the hill. And then he just beat you. Greatest fighter of all time, Ilia Topuria, you fucking gang of gobshite. I went 5 with him. I took every fucking shot that he threw at me and kept walking forward. This little bitch has just quit after 4 rounds. That's what this little bitch has just done. Look at him, sat on his stool. I kept fucking walking forward at Gaethje for 5 rounds and didn't have an ounce of quit.
For Topuria, those questions feel more significant now than at any other point in his career. Prior to the White House card, he was widely viewed as one of the UFC's brightest rising stars, a fighter many believed had all the tools necessary to dominate his division for years to come. The event was expected to serve as another milestone in his ascent towards superstardom, further strengthening his position among the sport's elite. There was a growing belief that each victory was bringing him closer to becoming one of the UFC's defining figures. Instead, the fight dramatically altered the narrative surrounding his future. What was once a conversation centered on championship ambitions, marquee matchups, and long-term dominance has shifted toward recovery, resilience, and the challenges that come with overcoming a major setback. That doesn't mean expectations for Topuria have disappeared. If anything, interest in his career may be greater than ever. The difference is that fans are no longer asking how high he can climb. They're asking how he will respond when faced with the first truly difficult chapter of his professional journey. And in combat sports, those moments often become the most important. The way a fighter handles adversity can sometimes define their legacy, just as much as the victories that first made them a star.
Justin Gaethje can't win. Like, anybody can lose in an MMA fight. People get hit. Like in Ilia Topuria, one of his early fights, Herbert caught him with a head kick in the first round. Dustin is always just trying to... This is a dangerous guy. He's a dangerous guy for anybody. He's always moving forward, trying to smash you. He leg kicks you from inside the clinch. People forget it. Gaethje's a warhammer, dude. That guy loves battles. It's not like this tactical, take a chance here, take a chance there. No, everything's take a chance. It's like from the very beginning of the fight. The way he fought, you're like, good Lord.
Did you feel he was broken after he didn't get that finish?
I never felt he was broken because he was so dangerous at the whole time. But in the 3rd round, when I started landing those jabs, when he started finding his back foot, I knew something was different.
I mean, it was fight of the night, but, fight of the year, fight of the whatever. It's one of the greatest fights you'll ever see. It was incredible. And especially when you got a guy, I don't know where it ended up, but 6, 7, 8 to 1 underdog, and then comes in and does what he did tonight. And then Ilia, I mean, the body shots that Ilia hit Gaethje with in that round, and then Gaethje gets through it. Gaethje's about to get into, an arm bar. He almost got into a triangle. I mean, you saw everything in that.
What made Gaethje's performance so impressive wasn't just the fact that he won. It was the manner in which he earned the victory. Over the course of the fight, he steadily imposed his style, forcing Topuria into difficult situations and making every minute inside the cage increasingly demanding. Rather than allowing Topuria to control the tempo, Gaethje gradually transformed the contest into the kind of relentless, high-pressure battle that has been the foundation of his career for years. He consistently pushed the pace, created uncomfortable exchanges, and forced Topuria to work far harder than he would have preferred. By the end of the fight, The visible damage reflected just how taxing the contest had been. The physical toll became one of the most talked about aspects of the event, and is a major reason why recovery has now become such a central topic within the MMA community. Fans want answers. They want to know how long Topuria will be sidelined, whether the medical procedures and rehabilitation process will fully address the injuries, and when one of the UFC's biggest stars can realistically return to action. The truth, however, is that nobody knows for certain. Recovery timelines vary from fighter to fighter. Every injury presents different challenges, and every athlete responds differently to the healing process. What does seem clear is that Topuria is unlikely to rush his return. The stakes are simply too significant. Given his standing in the sport and the severity of the damage reportedly sustained, both he and the UFC will likely prioritize a complete recovery before entertaining discussions about another major matchup. At this stage, patience may be the most important part of the process. The goal is not just getting Topuria back into the cage. It's ensuring that when he returns, he is fully healthy and capable of performing at the elite level that made him one of the UFC's fastest rising stars in the first place.
Feel like he quit?
Of course he did. They should stop him on the third round because his eye was closed and he couldn't see, but he wanted to fight because he's a warrior, you know. But like round number 4, his brother said, no, that's enough. That's the right decision, you know, because when you have a one eye, it's so difficult to fight.
I was a little bit surprised. Also, I know that Gaethje is a hell of a fighter. If I were him, what else does he want to accomplish? He did it all.
What do you think is next for Ilia?
Ilia is an unbelievable fighter. It's sometimes just not your night. If he fights again, we will probably regain the title. He put too much energy, tried to finish Justin, and when he didn't get it,
I think that really screwed him up. He was expecting to go in there and do what he normally does, knock guys out.
Some of these small guys, they're delusional. They have false confidence because they're hiding behind a weight class.
Were you surprised that Topuria ended up losing?
Topuria, in my eyes, was the best UFC fighter right now, but Topuria makes the mistake of he trains a little too hard. I knew if Gaethje could withstand the storm, he had unorthodox things that he was doing. Gaethje would dip and then grab that uppercut and hit him with the uppercut because, I mean, he's been in those types of fights.
He quit on the stool. He quit twice. I stopped him twice. You know for a fact, you do not ever as a fighter say, I cannot see. He wanted out. Before this, he was a guy that you couldn't get through.
Do you think Ili's going to try for a rematch?
No, he doesn't get a rematch. He can try, but he doesn't get one. His next challenge can't be me. He needs to fight Patty.
I wonder if he'll still have those celebration dinners the night before.
There's no way.
When you're thinking about competing, who do you think it will be? You think it'll be?
That is what makes the situation so fascinating for the lightweight division as a whole. While Topuria is focused on recovering and getting healthy, the rest of the division continues to move forward. The lightweight landscape never stays still for long. Justin Gaethje's victory has created new possibilities. Rising contenders are positioning themselves for major opportunities, and discussions about future title fights are already beginning to develop. All of this is happening while there remains significant uncertainty surrounding Topuria's return timetable. The longer a fighter is away, the more the division evolves around them. New matchups emerge, rankings shift, and momentum can quickly change hands. By the time Topuria is ready to compete again, the lightweight picture could look very different from the one he left behind. That naturally leads to the biggest question of all. Who should he face when he finally returns? Some fans are already calling for an immediate rematch with Justin Gaethje, believing the rivalry deserves another chapter given the significance of their first encounter. Others argue that both fighters should pursue separate paths for the time being, allowing the division to develop before revisiting the matchup at a later date. There are also those who believe Topuria's return should come against another top contender, giving him an opportunity to rebuild momentum while proving that he remains among the elite despite the setback. Potential opponents and title scenarios will undoubtedly become a major topic of debate as his recovery progresses. For now, however, those discussions remain secondary. Until Topuria is fully healthy and ready to compete again, the focus remains on recovery. Once that hurdle is cleared, the UFC will face a fascinating decision regarding the next chapter of one of the most compelling stories in the sport.
Every great athlete loses. GSP lost. I've lost. I've gotten knocked out. Only person who hasn't lost, actually he has lost. John Jones has also lost. All the greats have lost, ladies and gentlemen. We've all lost, and that doesn't say that Ilia Topuria can't come back and be even greater. Ilia Topuria is 29 years old. He's made a ton of money. But, you know, if you have Ilia Topuria versus Rufi, that would be a fucking sick fight. You have Ilia Topuria versus Armor Sarukian. That'll be a sick fight too. He's gonna have to deal with Armor Sarukian's athleticism, his wrestling, just his will to move around and just be dynamic as an athlete. Can Armin withstand Ilia Topuria's power if you get him out? Now, next time Ilia Topuria fights, if it isn't a title fight, it's gonna be 3 rounds. So Ilia Topuria has less rounds to work with. If it's a title fight, so he's got 5 rounds, it changes the strategy a little bit.
I want that rematch. I am going to finish BSD, and I want that rematch with Justin Gaethje for the undisputed title. I told you, didn't I? It was fate. Justin Gaethje, man, that's off to you. You deserve it for the fucking heavy career you've had. You absolutely deserve it, lad. Everyone gave me shit for getting beat by him. What now? What now, lad? Thought he was finished. Thought he was 38. Thought he was over the hill. And then he's just beat you. Greatest fighter of all time, Ilia Topuria. You fucking gang of gobshite. I went 5 with him. I took every fucking shot that he threw at me and kept walking forward. This little bitch has just quit after 4 rounds.
Others, however, strongly believe that Topuria should take a different matchup first, allowing himself time to regain momentum, sharpen his skills in competition, and rebuild confidence before considering a rematch with Gaethje. There are compelling arguments for both approaches. An immediate rematch could provide a chance at redemption and settle lingering questions from the first fight. On the other hand, taking another high-level opponent first could help Topuria ease back into contention while giving him valuable time to fully re-establish himself before stepping into another high-stakes battle. What virtually everyone agrees on, though, is that whenever Topuria makes his return, it will instantly become one of the most anticipated events in MMA. At this point, the story has evolved beyond the result of a single fight. It is now about resilience, recovery, and the ability to overcome adversity. Fans are no longer focused solely on what happened inside the cage that night. They are focused on what comes next, and whether Topuria can fight his way back to the level that made him one of the UFC's most feared and exciting competitors. That is why interest in his recovery remains so intense. Every update generates discussion because people want to know how this chapter will unfold. Can he rebound from the toughest setback of his career? Can he return stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than before? Until Ilia Topuria finally steps back into the octagon, those questions will continue to dominate conversations throughout the MMA world. And with each passing week, the anticipation surrounding his eventual comeback is only likely to grow.